Hello and welcome to India Market Open. It's the last day of the week and it looks rough, guys. Sea of red for global equity markets. The Dow, the Nasdaq, S&P sold off. Asia looks bad and we are reporting that there has been an attack and Israel has retaliated to Iran, and that's not going to go down well, at least for equity markets or human beings.
Not at all. You know, we saw that yesterday. The first crack came in when the first mention, unofficial mention of this attack came in, and now that it's finally happening.
Confirmed.
Clearly, that will be something like that.
Absolutely. So there was that big, question at what caused that crack mid-market around 130, 140 yesterday in the afternoon. So from what we're learning so far, Israel had told the United States that it will have a counteroffensive within 24 to 48 hours. Now, ABC has reported, quoting a U.S. official, that there has been an attack by Iran, a retaliatory attack on one site by Israel on one site in Iran, and that is what is really causing world markets all over to really suffer. Ordinarily we start with what's happening with the US markets, but that's not yet reacted. So we should really open with what's happening in Asia, and Asian markets are showing all of that pain today. Honestly, even before this one big trigger, you were seeing a lot of trepidation. You had someone like Anil Kashkari come and say that Fed rate cuts are likely to happen only in 2025. That had bogged down the bonds, and now you have bonds at about 4.6 on the 10-year.
But the point is, I mean, even if the US markets may not have reacted, the Dow futures currently are already showing that downtake.
Yeah. So and implied Nifty 400 points. We could be
so
look
at that, 1.37%, 500 points lower for the Dow.
21,700 on the
Dow futures down, implied Nifty obviously down, and crude. Let's just quickly talk about crude before we get our guest in and get a sense of what's happening there. And crude has just been tumbling completely. You've seen the Brent really take a hit. Futures,
actually,
of course,
a spike up, actually. This morning has been a spike up. So 4 days of a fall, and this morning, because of this, it's actually moved up. So, far from a tumble, actually, we've seen
$90
a big
barrel
spike
again,
in the session today. And not surprising that this is the kind of news flow that will make crude go up.
But
I
think let's get to the point. If we do, this is a sell-on rally for the Nifty. If we do get an opening closer to 21,700, which is what the implied Nifty is indicating to, it'd be very interesting to see if that gets bought into this morning. We've seen a struggle at 21,900. Till this morning, that was a key level of support. But from the way things are looking, I don't know whether an opening at 21,700 actually gets bought into. Crude is up, gold is up. Silver is up, and equities globally are down. Japan, of course, is reacting to its inflation data, so more local concerns. The only green, interestingly, guys, across Asia is China. That's trading marginally higher. So I don't know what's working for China this morning, apart from lip service to, I believe that's Russia and China doing lip service for Iran. But apart from that, it's looking tough.
So just another point, and you're absolutely right. What I meant to say that was crude was jumping, just too many numbers and everyone trying to get all that information out. So crude is showing that nervousness. Gold is showing that nervousness. But I think the other factor, and Samina, to the point you were making, that will this be bought into? And I just want to pull up what fund flows have looked like. In fact, fund flows in the last 3 trading session and FII sales. Remember, we talked about the whole Mauritius tax treaty pain, and then we sort of just said that the Indian government hasn't notified it yet. The fact is that in the last 3 sessions, FIIs have sold about 14,000 crore rupees. And remember, we're in the middle of a model code of conduct. First phase of polls start today. So whatever concerns there are on, any kind of tax changes impacting the ability of FPIs based in Mauritius can't really be changed, or nothing can be done about it till after the 4th of June, and that's perhaps one bit where you won't see too much support coming in on top of global
Very
flows.
quickly, they've sold 20,000 crores in the last 4 days. So just compounding that number, it's not just been yesterday. And the index shorts by FIs on the index futures is up by about 1 lakh contracts. So it's very clear that they are sitting on the short side. And I also came across an interesting article that said in the last couple of days, what we've seen global asset managers actually increasing their cash positions. So if they're not sitting short, the best case scenario is they've upped the cash number. So very clearly, there is a little bit of paranoia, and that's very obvious in terms of the cash positions held by some of these asset managers worldwide.
So a lot of factors today, and just to add one more to it is first phase of polls begins today. So domestically, that's also going to be one event to watch out for, and we'll just come quickly to why first phase is also important in a bit from now. The focus, of course, right now on what's happening globally.
Yeah, most certainly. So, interestingly, that just that you mentioned that Alexander Wolf, head of Asia Investment Strategy at JP Morgan Private Bank, mentioned, not in context to what's happening in geopolitics, but that they remain convinced of the structural growth story in Indian equities, and long-term investors should be at least neutral relative to the benchmark and an overweight. If there are repercussions due to the polling and the volatility due to the election season, then that should be bought into. So that was JP Morgan's view. Of course, they didn't account for this geopolitical piece. While we just wait for a global voice to come in, should be up any moment, just quickly what could be happening here. I mean, we've seen India VIX go up for 4 straight sessions. So in some sense, this jitters were talked about. Monday morning, I remember me and Tamanna talking about this, that something makes us nervous about what's happening currently. We were at higher levels. Look at what's happened the last 4 days. There has been a bit of a pullback because these geopolitical worries at a point of time when valuations were what they were 4 days ago or 5 days ago meant that there could be a pullback, and we've seen a 3% pullback already. Thus far, and another couple of percentage points today maybe, so that makes it about 5% for a week. So that's a significant pullback on the indices. We may not be in extreme fear zone, so independent of the levels, the markets may not want to go out and buy because who knows how.
And you cannot isolate the rest of the world, right?
Yes, you can't.
Looks okay back home. Talking about the WIX, the S&P 500 volatility index also is at record high, so highest level since October 2023.
Yeah, it's looking wobbly. Yesterday, just one small number, for the bears to do this, which they did yesterday, the 22,000 call strike added 1.82 crore contracts. I mean, bears were confident that this is now the near-term resistance. There was call writing all over, but 22,100 and 22,000 in particular, and that becomes the key point of resistance now.
And we effectively closed eventually below 22,000 yesterday. After the adjustments, your Nifty was a tad shy of the 22,000 figure. So the stage seems set for a weak opening. There is no doubt about it. Global cues are very negative. But are there opportunities here yet? Should you now wait and watch is what we're going to be talking about. I think just one more factor that we can come into place, before we get you more inputs on what's happening globally and how you should look at crude, etc. And I was just talking about polls. I just want to pull up why this phase is important. So 102 seats will see voting today out of the 543. That's close to 20%, which is why this becomes also an important phase. But politically, why it's also important is because all seats in Tamil Nadu go to polls today. 8 union ministers, 2 former chief ministers, and 1 ex-governor is in the fray today. It's an important one for the BJP and the NDA because in these exact seats in 2019, they had about a 40% vote share. So it becomes crucial for them. It also becomes crucial because they want to make a dent in the South. So for all of these reasons, it's an interesting election to watch.